Welcome to Compassion Speaks, where we give the voice to nonprofits in the community. I'm your host, Ezra Borrego. Today we have David and Tina Sherman,
yes,
and also Marie Stokes. Welcome with the Salvation Army.
Yes.
Thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you.
So we got some things going on that's like in a transition, and we're going to talk about that. And we also have another guest down here that's, I don't know if it's in, you can probably view in. This is Jenny.
That's Jenny.
And Jenny, you have Jenny for a reason with you. You take her a lot around with you.
Yeah, she, well, I fixed my blood sugar problem. She would alert to that if my sugar got too high. But I lost 60 pounds, so that helped. And then she does alert to blood pressure too, to my blood pressure. And she does that occasionally, and when she does, I take it seriously. That I better check and see what's going on.
Emotional issues too.
Yeah, and I also have PTSD, so she helps greatly with that.
Wow.
If I start to elevate, then she's right there, and she knows. I don't know how she knows, but she knows.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So she's a big part of your life, David.
Oh yeah, she's with me all the time.
And we're going to talk about some books you wrote about her. In another book, your first book, we're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
That to kind of focus on Jenny a little bit and why you wrote your books. Okay. So you've been on the mountain for how long?
Since
98, I think.
98.
So what, 21 years now?
Yes, David and I met up here.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
so you're both part of the Salvation Army at the time?
No, that was later.
No, that was later. We met at a Bible study, and we were married 3 weeks later.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, 20 years now.
And
so.
it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
That's one of the, when people meet and you're what's the word? You're told, have a good, long, what do you call it? Courtship. And sometimes it'll work when you don't. And
this was a divine intervention, and we knew it. We knew it from the first day or two. So.
And you guys work really well together. I've seen you guys working together.
We do. We complete each other.
Yeah. So we have Maria here, which she's been with you for how long? How long is Maria?
Since 2009. She started with us in 2009.
And you kind of like what you do since you've been around.
Love what I do.
She's very good at it. She's very good at it. She's our case manager for social services, and as I begin to go into retirement in the end of July, Maria will be in charge, and she's very capable. So
very scared, very capable.
It's a good thing to be scared, because you're going to want to be ready, and you're going to want to be getting all the answers and all the help you need. Because when sometimes we think we got this, then that sometimes you get humbled pretty quick.
That's
when you
why
think
I
you
need
got
her
this.
to stick around a little bit.
And we're not moving away. We live up here. We love this community, and we're buying our house.
Oh, wonderful!
So I'm a phone call away, short drive, and
good.
I can come to the rescue.
And so you were in a location in Lakeside for a while, and you're in a new location now.
Very important. We were in our Lakeside location for 14 years. We moved out of there, downsized in April, and we're in Wagon Wheel Plaza next to the hub. So 56, 58, Highway 260 in Lakeside. It's considered Wagon Wheel too. And so we're going to be there for at least the next 5 years, hopefully longer.
Wonderful.
Same telephone number, 928-368-WWJD, which is 9953.
Okay. And that's
glad to help.
That was Suite 6,
Suite
right?
number 6.
Okay.
And we're right next to Hospice Accord, Accord Hospice.
Yes. All right. Well, wonderful. So the transition is taking place right now. So you're being schooled, and you've been schooled for 10 years already.
I've been learning for 10 years, but I've been preparing for this for the last 6 months.
So tell me about some of the things that you have done, you three, and you two before you came on, that made an impact on the mountain. We've had some things happen up here in the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
That we really needed you.
Well, To me, one of the biggest things that we've done is we began a homeless program back in 2003. Just putting people up in motels and trying to help them get their lives back together, and that's morphed into the White Mountain Coalition Against Homelessness, which now involves a lot of different agencies and churches and people, just individual citizens, and we're looking to expand that. We're not sure where we're going yet, but it's going to keep going.
We'll be here to help.
Wonderful. And are you tied in with the Bread of Life in Holbrook? You kind of help them out a little bit?
Very close friends.
We work with them, sure, and sometimes they have a client that's ready. Ours is a program. It's not emergency shelter.
Okay.
So somebody has to be ready to come into our program. We don't just take everybody.
Able to seek and hold a job, that kind of... So not necessarily on disability. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and Maria is the case manager, so she's very skilled at spotting people who are just trying to play the system. And but we have a thorough intake process, and we want to help people, but they have to be willing to participate.
Yes.
Be willing to help themselves eventually get back on their feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think most of the time that we've been up here is that people will remember us are the disasters that we've worked. We worked Rodeo Chetaskai Fire. We had 4 kitchens from all over the place that were stationed up here for a month. We kept one out at Timberland Acres for about 5 weeks after the fire, just to help people get back into community. It gave them a meeting place, and I think they're still meeting out there at the substation. Used to be the Linden Fire Substation. I guess it's Timber Mesa now.
Yeah.
I haven't been out there for a few years, so I don't know what's going on. But
neighbors really came together.
Yeah, the whole community came together. That was an amazing event. I don't want to do it again, but it was really. To me, it showed the cohesiveness of how people can come together in a time of need, and that was amazing. The Wallow Fire, because it didn't affect these communities of Show and Pine Top Lakeside as much, other than having the shelter at Blue Ridge High School. The Wallow Fire, although larger, didn't have as much of an impact because we lost 430 homes during Rodeo Chetaskai.
Wow.
And and we were part of the recovery team as well, to help people get their lives back together. Those were important things. I love working disasters. I'm going to continue working disaster for the Salvation Army. To me, it's a time of great ministry. There's just a lot going on, and people are having the worst day of their lives. So if you can interject yourself into that situation and make it better, then yay.
Yeah. You see the really the wonderful hearts of people when it gets tough.
Yes.
And how people come together. I was down in the valley working for FedEx at that time, and I had brothers as firefighters up here during the Rodeo Chetaskai. I'm thinking, and we're having our high school 20-year reunion, and we're thinking, I may not have a high school. Because it was just it was coming up. It was getting
Was
scary.
that Blue Ridge or Sholo?
Blue Ridge.
Hi.
I was at Blue Ridge. And I asked the guys at FedEx, what can we do? My town is in jeopardy. I feel helpless. I got brothers that are firefighters up here. So they start putting out texts. And you think this is how cool people are. They start putting out texts and messages out to all the hubs throughout the United States with FedEx. And they responded, and so they start sending in water, dog food, all kinds of stuff from all these hubs in crates and pallets. And so we load them on trucks, and I got to come up in trucks and go through all the checkpoints and all that, because it was martial law. Things were shut down.
Right.
So they had to have a lot of checkpoints. So we brought up two their pup trucks loaded with stuff, and I got to go to the different locations, probably some of the places you guys were at. CBQ, White River, Sholo, and Lakeside. That was interesting.
At that time, if people have been up here for a while, the old Bash's site, which is now Ross Dress for Less.
That's right.
Bash's donated that empty warehouse for us to be able to place things like that.
I did not know that.
We were there
and
2 years.
that was free for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we
Didn't
were there
charge us
2
a
years.
dime.
In fact, I met Eddie Basha. He had a fundraiser at his house, and I asked him how long we were going to be able to stay. He has a place up in White Mountain Country Club, or had a place. He said, I didn't even know you guys were still there. It was 2 years later. But we had so many donations that we didn't want to just pour it out in the community, because that destroys businesses. And we discovered that in Heber. We had a place set up where we were feeding people for a month after the fire again, and we had businesses come to us say, please go away, you're giving away stuff that we sell, and we're trying to get back on our feet. So we shut that part off. We continued the feeding for another week after that, and then we packed up and left, because we don't want to damage their community, we want to help the community.
Yeah.
Same with Sholo. We were very careful about distributing so that it wouldn't hurt Sholo businesses either.
Yeah.
And you don't really, you think you're helping the community, but you don't think about that until you hear the impact of what's happening to businesses. You just think, okay, I'm doing a good thing, but you're not helping them.
Yeah.
So we learn through different experiences, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And hopefully we get better and better each time we do something else for an event that happens.
Yes, I agree.
Sure.
So, Maria, what's happening right now? What do you do in the office, and what do you do for, let's say someone comes into your office. How do you address the situation when somebody comes in, I need help? What do you do?
So I pre-screen them generally first to see what help they need and if it's something that we can offer. If it is, then we go through an intake process. Each program kind of varies on what documentation that we require, because utility assistance is a totally different fund than the homeless program that we run through the coalition.
Okay.
So there are different rules and requirements.
Okay.
With the homeless program, which is a large part of what we do, it's a clean and sober working program, so they must be able to do both of those things. A lot of people just aren't ready to live under rules.
Right.
So kind of get a feel for whether or not they're ready for that experience in their life. And then other things are just food boxes, emergency food boxes. We do have a small pantry right now since we've downsized a little bit, but there's so many other wonderful resources on the mountain that a lot of times we will outsource. We'll give them a resource list for food banks, or a resource list for where they can go get diapers and formula.
Wonderful. So we're going to go to break, and so in our next half, we're going to talk about your book, how you tie in with each other in resources, and how you get the word out on how you can help people. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Compassion Speaks, and today we have David, Tina, and Maria on our show, and they're with the Salvation Army, and we've been talking about some of the things that they've been doing up here on the mountain, and their new location, which is in the Wagon Wheel Plaza.
Wagon Wheel Plaza.
And it's in Suite 6, pretty close to where
The
I
hub.
work.
Yeah, right
In the
next
hub,
door.
right next to us, with
Passes.
the hospice accord. We have a guest here also, which is with David a lot, this wonderful little dog, and he's with David for a reason. And we talked during when we were on break why Jenny's really with David. And Dave, you went to the 9/11 in February, just not too long. Still after they were still
Right, it
taking
was
things.
5 months after. So, but they were still pulling bodies out every day. And I worked in a tent where the police was the main function. We had some firefighters come in too. And we were and a lot of construction workers that were doing the cleanup. And we did counseling and just prayed with people, just did whatever was necessary,
Right.
and provided snacks and whatever.
Hydration.
What the Salvation Army does. But it caused me to have PTSD, and I wasn't aware of it at the time. They didn't know how to properly debrief people as they were leaving. Now we do. Now we've got the debriefing process down, and we've involved critical incident stress management and emotional spiritual care as part of our disaster plans. Whenever we go into any area now, we understand that people are psychologically affected, whether they know it or not.
Right.
Even if you just get evacuated, that can be a strain. But to lose your home, that's even worse. But seeing those bodies pulled out every day, that had an effect on me that I wasn't ready for. And now my friend here helps me whenever I get right now, as we're talking about World Trade Center, I have this smell that comes back.
Wow.
That's the first thing that always returns. And it's the smell of death, because it was just wafting out of that pit, and I was working right at the pit. So it was hard, and I don't, nowhere near the trauma that the people who lived in New York experienced,
Right.
and the people who lost loved ones at the World Trade Center. And I don't mean by any chance or any way to diminish their needs and their stories, but it does have an effect on people, and we should be aware and not be ashamed of it,
Right. Yeah, we have to process those things that we go through so much different types of trauma in our life. And those things it's not one of those everyday things you deal with. And the mind has a hard time accepting it or registering it or processing it.
Right.
And sometimes you need to have help that helps you along the way, calms you, and is there for you, and
Exactly.
knows when you're going through something.
Exactly.
And you wrote a book about Jenny. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, when I retired 5 years ago, I actually retired 5 years ago, but
Worked part-time, though, until January.
Okay.
I decided I wanted to get a friend to just pal around with, and I didn't realize that how much she would be for me. One day she alerted to something. She did something that was unusual for her, and that's what an alert is. She stood there and just sat in front of me and just stared at me. So I knew, and she wouldn't move. So I checked my blood sugar, and it was way up there. So I thought, she's alerting to me. And she did that again, and same thing. And then a couple weeks later, she gave me a different alert. She came over and she laid her head on my lap. She never does that. That was sugar. So I started noticing this dog really loves me. I got her, she's a rescue dog, got her from Pet Allies. And I saw her approach people in such a loving and kind way. Everybody she meets, sometimes she'll just roll over on her back and say, rub my tummy. But she'll make you smile. And so I noticed the things that she did, and I thought, that's very Christ-like. It's very Christ-like to be compassionate and to care about what's going on in somebody else's life. So this came to me, and it's what my dog taught me about Jesus, and it's about the different personality things. It's not a book about the dog, it's a book about Jesus, but it is a book on how she works and how she shows that love and compassion to other people. And it's a good read. It's not a long read. It's not War and Peace. But it's fun, and it's available everywhere, Amazon or whatever. But I always have books. So
I have me a copy, and animals, especially dogs, are very unconditional.
Yeah.
They love you no matter what.
Absolutely.
That's why I think sometimes the owners of the dogs like their animals better than sometimes their kids.
When I come home from work, just yesterday, she's there to greet me, and David won't hear because he's hearing impaired. So she's out there to see me before David even knows. And she's like, hey, welcome, excited. Anyway,
Wow.
Makes me feel good too.
Yes, of course. Now, Maria, you have a passion for helping out with disasters also.
I do.
What makes you, in your heart, drawn to that kind of stuff? Because some people don't know how to deal with that. What makes you tick? What makes you want to do that?
I love to help and give back to people in need because I've been on that other side of the fence. Where I was before the Salvation Army was homeless. It was in need. It was a constant state of disarray. So being involved with the Salvation Army and the love that I got from them when I first came in just kind of changed my life. The love of Jesus just changed my life. And then being able to be involved, I think the Wallow Fire was the first one. I got to actually serve other people, you know, and help them out, like he said, on their worst day.
Yeah.
And then later on got to go with him to take some of the emotional spiritual classes so that I could actually be prepared to talk to these people.
Yeah.
I just love it.
It is so important to experience tough things so we can have more empathy. I really, truly believe that. As a chaplain, I share with patients that aren't doing well that the reason, and also the caregivers for them, the reason why you go through hard things is to prepare us for the things ahead.
Yes.
And to be able to have empathy for others because you know you've been through that. Now you can kind of relate with them.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's important, and sometimes we forget that. We're like, why is this happening to me, we think.
Yeah.
It's for a reason, to give you strength and to be able to help you understand other people's concerns and problems in their life.
And that's why she's so good at her job as a case manager too, because she's been there, done that, and didn't write a book, but
You can relate.
got the T-shirt.
Yeah, and we all deal with things differently, but we can somewhat relate to what that person is going through. But we don't quite exactly understand what they're going through because, like I said, we all deal with it
Oh
differently.
yeah, absolutely.
But you're there. Salvation Army is there for people, and which I really love. My family's been able to do a few things. My wife's been a bell ringer a few times at Walmart, and we help out with the Christmas thing, and it's so fun to give back and
It is.
to teach our children to be able to know how important it is to give to those that are less fortunate than you are. Helps them to have more gratitude for things that they have.
True.
And to learn how to serve. So how can people get a hold of you to be able to serve in the community? How can they reach out to you, or what do they do to?
You know, a real important asset would be if when they're able to purchase some food at Walmart or Safeway or Dollar Tree, some canned goods, things that they would like to eat, dried goods, and just bring them in and donate. We do food boxes, as Maria has mentioned, and we do get a little bit of grant money to occasionally purchase some things from fillers for a meal. But if the basic meal has been provided by someone in the community as a canned good or something that could be cooked, we don't have to use that grant money to purchase as much fillers to complete a meal.
Yeah.
We really try and at least give the food that would help the family for a couple of nights,
Right.
and then refer them to a regular food bank because we really have a small pantry space.
And our service center is largely self-supported by this community.
Okay.
All the kettle money stays local here on the mountain.
Wonderful.
All donations go right back out into the community. We rely on food donations for our food pantry. We do get money for our utility assistance from Phoenix and some support for our payroll and lights and whatnot.
Yeah.
But as far as the money that goes back out into the community and the services we're able to offer, praise God that this community is just willing to donate and pitch in and see the need and want to help out with that.
Yes, and there are Apache and Navajo County, both those counties, and Apache County is they are one of the lower end when it comes to
And we do
poverty.
cover
County in the
both.
country.
We do.
We cover both counties. We just only have one site in Navajo County, so folks do have to come across the mountain, and they do. If there's more jobs in Navajo County, many of them migrate to this area to seek long-time work and lower housing cost.
Yeah.
But we serve both counties.
Wonderful. You know, I kind of, when I visit with people, I'm a core coach or a life coach too, about how important it is to give, because we take a lot in our lives. We receive a lot, and to keep things flowing, you have to flow it back out, and for it to come back to you.
Yeah.
And if you want to have blessings, if you want to have being prosperous, give in the community. That's one of the biggest things that I share with was my core values. Is that's number 4 is give back to your community.
Right.
And this is one of the ways you can do that.
We do have a annual event coming up in August 17th. It's a Saturday.
Okay.
Everyone's welcome. We do pre-sell some dinner tickets. We ask $10 for your meal,
Okay.
per meal. And but it's to honor volunteers, that we appreciate them. It's to, if someone comes in, they don't have funds, we will give them a meal. So we're just going to have a wonderful time Saturday. We'll have a live auction. Well, not a live auction.
A live cake auction or
Yes.
dessert auction
All right.
where we walk them around and do it live. And then we also have a silent auction with some really nice, wonderful things.
Wonderful. So what's the location, did you say?
It's going to be at the Sholo campus gym.
City gym.
The city gym
Okay.
down
Over on McNeil.
Okay.
We were there the last 2 years, I believe.
All right.
And the city of Sholo has been gracious to offer that to us again.
Wonderful.
And they just donate that, and they also donate some funds towards the event.
Okay.
So City of Sholo has really stepped up.
Wonderful.
And bell ringers are always, always needed because that is our biggest
My
fundraiser.
wife and I will
so
put the
wanna
word
put a
out.
plug in.
And that's there's no payment to, it's voluntary
Right.
bell ringing, just because some people come from other places and they think, oh, the money's going to pay those people. No, it's voluntary.
Well, we're out of time. Thank you
Okay.
for being here.
Thank you.
And I just want to remind the community to always give back. You know, we are here in this community serving each other, and salvation is up here to help serve us. So thank you for on this other episode of Compassion Speaks, and we'll see you next time.